Well, my name is Ben Terrell, and I am the volunteer legislative liaison for Convention of States here in Kansas. And I have been in that volunteer role since late 2018. I represent tens of thousands of Kansans, of your constituents and fellow citizens who have signed our petition, and dozens of active volunteers like myself. When I signed the petition in January of 2016, we had all of 6,500 petitioners approximately in Kansas. Today, there are over 47,800 petition signers in Kansas. So that's 9 years ago. My point is we're a large and growing grassroots organization. Thank you for hearing testimony on our resolution today. We asked you to hear it because all of us have become have come to the distressing conclusion that finding the best candidates and voting them into office in Washington doesn't do the job. In fact, it fails to secure our rights in the Constitution from the federal government. We find that the government in Washington has, in fact, become an enemy of our liberty, and that the vested interests there are not interested in changing course or letting us have our liberty back. We ask you, therefore, our state legislators, to help restore Lincoln's vision of government of the people, by the people, and for the people. How can you help us do that? The framers provided a way for any power in the federal government to be checked by another. The way to restore our liberty from the federal government is for the states to intervene and do what they are duty-bound to do through Article 5 of the Constitution. There you're authorized to initiate amendments as co-equals with Congress. When 2/3 of the states, which is 34 out of 50, pass resolutions on the same subjects and then meet to deliberate and draft amendment proposals. I'm sure you remember that any amendment proposals, whether initiated by Congress or initiated by a state convention, have to be ratified by the states. You remember that job. And that would be a ratification requirement of 3/4, which is 38 states. You've always known that has generally been forgotten since about the 1980s, that you have an equal right with Congress to initiate amendments. It may help you to know that the Kansas legislature is not a stranger to this process, having passed 8 resolutions for amendment conventions between 1907 and 1978, 2 of which are still active. One from 1951 for limits on the federal taxing authority to 25% of whatever it is they tax, and another from 1978 for a balanced budget amendment. Our proposal has been brought to this committee several times beginning in 2015, so 10 years of experience. It has passed favorably out of this committee on all but one occasion. And 3 of those resolutions were then heard on the House floor. In 2016, the resolution was lost on a vote of 77 for and 47 against. That's roughly 61 and some percentage for. The 22 resolution was lost on a vote of 76 for and 43 against. And in 2023, the resolution lost on a vote of 74 for and 48 against. This is to give you some history, context, and background. We ask you to use your authority, again, to oblige the federal government to control itself. Take action so that Kansas can join the 19 other states that have passed similar resolutions already, so that we can bring us closer to the 34 needed to actually call what is simply a meeting of the states. We have interstate meetings all the time to draft amendment proposals, which will then come back to you for your approval and hopefully get us on to restoring a more constitutional order for our government.